So much. This is a very honor opportunity for me to talk about my work. And first, I'd like to thank you so much for Dr. Howard's presentation. It was fascinating and it's wonderful information there. Yes, thank you. I think I should talk about my background first. I studied at when I started Korean music, at the time in Korea, Korean music was not really respected. It was actually very despised by own people. And then if you are a serious musician, you have to learn Western classical music. And that was the time, 1970s, I began to know about the traditional music. So when I went to a national high school for the Korean traditional music, which was actually the former E Dynasty Court Music Institute, now become the National Center for Korean Performing Arts Institute, Korean Performing Art Center for Korean Traditional Performing Arts right now. So I studied traditional music over there. So as he talked about Kayagum, it's obviously Kayagum was known as a female instrument. And they say the Komungo is the male instrument. It was traditionally performed by male scholars. So then I choose Komungo for the challenge. Why not? Woman hasn't done it, and I should do it. That was the only reason actually I started playing Komungo. And then over the time with my teacher, and I got very involved with the Korean music in general. I was fascinated by the tonality and the spices in each note and different time sense you already have learned from Dr. Howard, how Sanjo works. All those things are very fascinating. So then I determined myself to be the traditional musician. By the time I went to college, Seoul National University, then I began to understand the problem, political problem in the music department as well as the whole society, that still Korean music is a second class. And I experienced that, that my teacher in the Korean traditional music department has not much of decision making, but all those the administration decision made by Western music department. And also 2/3 of the members of the students are all Western music major, and only 1/3 is Korean music major. And somehow we treat it as a second class. By the time when I graduate, then all the study I had from the high school to the university was not really useful, because then in order to get a teaching job, for instance, you have to teach Western music, because school didn't teach Korean music. So, and then also, as a woman at the time, not now, but 1970s, and as a woman, I don't see there was very hopeful place over there. I see all those important positions taken by male. And then also, if you a member of the Western orchestra, then you would have double the salary compared to the Korean traditional orchestra, on and on and on. So as a young person, like your age, some of your age as a student, nothing really makes sense to me, and I left there. And I came to America with hope and with a mission as an artist that maybe I can do something about this. You know, when you're young, you have some desire, you believe that you can change the society. And I had, as a young person, I had that desire. And one of the desires that I had was that I'm going to make a new piece. So I'm going to mix both instruments, Western, Korean instruments, together. If I write a new piece, then it'll be equal, very treated as equal. And that was sort of a bottom line of my mission. And I realized that I really have to understand Western music as well to do this job successfully. So that's why I came to America 30 years ago, and as the composition student, and I got my master in composition at Mills College. just saying all this, and then this will give you a background that I was trained in Korea seriously as a traditional musician, but now I'm doing very different kind of music. It's called cross-cultural music. I think my music, I mean, I know there are so many musicians right now. 30 years ago, I was one of the rare people who does this kind of work. But now, many young generation, even in Korea, all those traditional musicians, they are doing cross-cultural music. Yesterday, Dr. Howard talked about the Kugak fusion music. But my intention is a little bit different from that music. If the Kugak fusion is focused on the commercial aspect and music business, how much you sell your CD, in order to do that, you have to please the agent and making more commercialized music. It's called more. I think my intent as an artist is different from that, which is that what I'm trying to do is to find a balance, aesthetic balance between Korean and Western, between also equal treatment, the aesthetic equality between Korean and Western, and also around the world. And with that mission, I did my work for 30 years outside of the Korea with the Komungo, that I did so many different range of the work. I work with the orchestra, I compose for orchestra, but then I use the Korean element of the tonality, which I call the living tones. As he just pointed out, some tonality, you have a lot of fluctuation. You know, the tone is not just pure, it has their spices on it, many spices. And I sort of deliver that attitude into the orchestra. And I work with the chamber ensemble, and also I improvise with the jazz musician, and I also improvise with the non-Western musicians around the world. And this is my conscious decision and political decision as an artist, because what I'm looking for is that not for just the best seller of my music, but then how can I put this unrespected Korean aesthetic into in the world and treat it as an equal the balance. And that was my main mission. So I'd like to give you one of the example that I have done with many musicians that it might tie it up with the Dr. Howard presentation about Sanjo. Well, I'd like to point out one more thing. When I came to America, I was influenced by the American improvisers and experimental musicians. They were liberal spirit. And now, when I was in Korea, everything was owned by group. The music was created by group. And so it's our music, our cult music, our folk music. They didn't really talk about composer. And now when I come to America, I start to experience that it's my music. It's my own way of doing it. It's my individual's voice. And then all those improvisers, I mean, all the successful improvisers actually developed their own sound on instrument. So for instance, if A saxophone player and B saxophone player plays instrument, it's very different sound. And I was very much inspired by that as a musician, that how can I make different Komungo sound, which is different from that Korean Komungo player would play in Korea. So with that idea, I started to developing many new techniques, but not only techniques, but also I developed this idea and materials through the working with so many different non-Korean musicians. That when I work with them, I have to compromise. I have to create something new in order to communicate with them. If I play only traditional music and there's no conversation comes up. So then it was a wonderful opportunity for me to start creating something new in order to communicate with the non-Korean musicians. Doing that over two decades, and now I become very mature with the material, and then I can say that I have my own voice on Komungo. So now I'm going to just show you one of the example that it's Sanjo ecstasy, called Sanjo ecstasy. As you know, what is Sanjo through the Dr. Howard's presentation. And in 2003, I was featured in the NBC TV broadcast of the film 100 Years of Sanjo. In conjunction, I was invited to make a new piece for Jeonju Sanjo Festival. So what I tried to do for this piece, that I wanted to work with the Sanjo soloist in Korea. So I invited next generation, not my generation, next generation, 3 leading Sanjo players. One is Jieri. Jieri is Kayagum player, and then Kang Eun-il is Haegum player, and then the drummer Park Geun-young. And then, as I do cross-cultural, I brought American the jazz drummer to there. So then we can still work with the Sanjo material. And then I play the electric Komungo, which I'm going to show you a little bit more. Electric Komungo. So then you can see that how this traditional Sanjo and my electric Komungo merging together, become a cross-cultural. At the same time, this American jazz drummer has to work with the Sanjo rhythmic cycle, 장난. So it's really a cross-cultural collaboration here. So at this point, I'll just do a play, and then we can talk about more about it. The, thank you. The piece actually is 90 minutes long, and then I use all the Sanjo, the Jangdan rhythmic cycles, and so then we go through all those different cycles. But then between that, I made the point that how we can merge. So they have scores, as you can see that the musicians are reading score, but then especially drummer, he got lost in all the time, just finding a time. But anyway, so this was done in 2003, and this is one of the examples that I work with the traditional musicians over there, using traditional Sanjo form, and also you only saw this one episode. But actually, you also hear traditional melody coming out of, and then we merge into the improvisational set. Now, I'd like to talk about my own solo work on Komungo. As a composer, I write down all the notation, all the notes for the Western musicians, and especially when I work with the Western musicians. But when I work on my Komungo solo, I improvise. And then actually, after 25 years, 30 years working on that, now I do have a notation on it. So, because many people also want to know, in the future, anybody want to learn what I did? And that was a very good question and a valuable question. And so now I made a notation over my improvisation. So my improvisation become a composition at this point, after 30 years later. Just living in America without another Korean instruments, Korean players, musicians, it's very lonely journey. I can find a drummer, Jango drummer, to accompany my Komungo. And so then I have to work alone. And there was another cause for me to just making a completely new piece. And also when I learned the Sanjo, I trained I learned from the oral tradition. And so my teacher would play something, and then a few days or weeks later, he played differently. He was improvising at the same time. And so I knew that this Sanjo has to do with improvisation. It's not the fixed music. And I take that. And also he told me that, not told us that, once you learn from me, you have to make your own Sanjo. And so I really want to do my own thing. But in this case, I don't have a Jango drummer to accompany me, and therefore I can really match to this rhythmic structure, which gives incredible structure of the whole music. And so I become very free out of this rhythmic cycle and trying to start to improvising in my own music. And also living in America, in Korea, there's no concept of copyright, as their tradition told you that there is no really composer. They didn't recognize composer. It was our music. So it's very comfortable for them to use any traditional melodies into their music. But living in America, I couldn't do that so freely, because then people will say, the professional people would say, is that your composition? Isn't that Korean melody? So that concern is very critical for my career as a composer, and I have to start doing really something original music myself. But then Komungo was always, it traditionally was for the scholar's instrument, and the music itself is for the meditation. It's a very, you sit down with a Komungo and then playing very spatial, the melody. It's not really elaborate the melody, and it's almost abstract kind of a melody. And learning this kind of a music all my life before I came to America, and what I learned from that training is that music is about meditation. So then with all these things, put them together, I made my own piece, and I'm not going to play whole thing, but you can visit my website, www.jeannie Kim, and then first page you will see the video clips, so you can just follow up with that. So this is the example of what I do as a soloist. Sorry, took a long time. Okay, last point. I have the world's only electric Komungo. And the Komungo is 4th century instrument. However, I'm living in 21st century. And then I think I'm as an artist, I'm always fascinated by how to express the time that you are living. So then, first time, 1989, I made a very funky experimental Komungo at the time. It was very small size. They said you don't really need the soundboard because it's electric instrument. And your Komungo is so big, but now you have electric one, it'll be easy to carry and all that. And so I made a very small version at the time. And they said that the string of the Komungo, original Komungo, is a silk string. The silk string is not going to be electrified, so you must change that into metal string in order to do that. So I changed the old string with the metal string, and then used the guitar pickup. At the time, 1989, technology was not really developed so elegantly, so I was depending on the electric guitar devices. So I use electric guitar pickups, and they plug in and sounds like electric guitar. Well, of course, it was not what I was looking for. But then with the limited technology available at the time, I still was playing with that funky instrument. And then 1998, I think, yeah, then I met a wonderful the designer in Canada, Joseph Yanogiello. And by then, the computer came out with the music program, and many things are available for making electric instruments. So then I made a new version, and now this the Komungo is plugged into computer, and I have a MIDI pedal in front of me. So I just use MIDI pedals, trigger the program simultaneously as I play. So I'm going to just show you some excerpt, and I'm not going to play whole piece, just to play maybe about 1 minute or so, just so that you can have an idea, and then there will be my end of my presentation. I have to go here. Oops. Please. Okay. This is a duo. It's not solo, but you will see my instrument. Oh, what am I supposed to do here if it doesn't work? Okay, I will drag this two, here, and put it in here. I hope that works. Yeah. I think I'm going to stop here. It's about 10 minutes long piece. So. Okay, thank you so much.